Hey, friends, I'd like to talk to you about extreme ownership. As a manager, as a leader, it is like the key thing for success. Extreme ownership has enabled me to be able to delegate well, create a blameless culture in my organization, and make people feel psychologically safe while I'm getting high performance out of them. A lot of it is learning how to communicate, how to manage up and down, how to influence, and take responsibility and create a culture where other people are taking responsibility. To me, that's crucial because I can't be everywhere all the time. And my job as a leader is to create other leaders. And extreme ownership is a platform, is a method, is a set of principles that allows me to create other leaders. It allows me to empower people to make the right decisions and and take responsibility for them. If they are just in a management bubble where I'm just pushing stuff down to them, but nobody's really accountable, then you end up losing a lot of engagement from them. What I've found is that extreme ownership really empowers everybody. At first, when I rolled it out, people felt it was really watered down because I was really calling everybody a leader. And I expect everybody to be a leader and to be able to lead and to be able to pick the ball up and run with it. But in a lot of ways, people are almost programmed to look for a hierarchy, a chain of command, and expect someone to manage them. And they're like, this is not my job, this is a manager thing, and it needs to be passed to me. And to me, that's just a lot of fluff. And that person indicating that is also not showing leadership potential. So, in the idea of extreme ownership, the leader bears full responsibility of any decisions, any actions of their team, any failings of their teammates, etc. If somebody on my team makes a bad call, it's my fault. It's my fault for not setting the right expectations. It's my fault for not queuing them up for success. And regardless of how bad it is, let's say it's a business outage all over the front page, it's highly impacting, it's a lot of downtime. If it's something that one of my teammates, one of my team members did, in my eyes, in extreme ownership, that's my responsibility. And I'm going to do what I can to bear the brunt of that and show everyone this is a learning experience. I made a mistake by not teaching everyone the proper way of doing it. I made a mistake by leaving this person out on their own to handle it, ill-prepared, without a plan, that kind of thing. A lot of times we expect as leaders that our teammates will be able to pick it up and run with it, but sometimes they're emotionally ill-equipped to deal with a crisis situation. Their decision-making skills aren't there. And it's a lot of training that we haven't given our people. Sometimes we're lucky that we just have rock stars, and that's great. But in the end, the failing of our team is our fault. The idea is that the leader really bears full responsibility for explaining the mission, is explaining what needs to be done, developing the tactics. How are we going to do it? And then making sure that our people are trained and have the resources and tools that they need so they don't fail and so that they can successfully complete their mission, whatever it is that we set them at. And when they fail, it could be from bad expectations and bad planning on my part. It could be not really enabling them or picking someone to do the job who was already burnt out and tired from their last all-nighter the night before, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong leading up to a failure that just makes one of our team members look really bad. But it's really our responsibility for that as leaders. When failure happens, a leader needs to not blame somebody else, Don't create a culture of blame. Please don't blame anyone on your team for anything that they've ever done or will do. Take responsibility for that. Say, I'm sorry. I didn't plan this properly or set the right expectations or teach you how to do this. Um, don't look for that blame opportunity because that'll make people not want to step up. That'll make people not want to volunteer or take responsibility. And if they make a mistake and you're blaming people all the time, are they going to tell you about it? They're going to hide it. So this is an opportunity for you to really show your team that it's safe to take risks because you as the leader are helping cover that. You're helping providing that training and those resources and that cover. You have to train and mentor the low performers. Every team, even the most excellent team, always has an underperformer or underperformers. Most teams have several, or people that have certain weaknesses in certain places. It's your responsibility as the leader to train them up or get them off your team. Period. It's, if you want to keep these people, if they're good people on your team, help them get to where they need to be. Because they're not going to get there on their own, or else they would have those skills already. Mentor them, teach them, train them. If somebody really doesn't fit, will not learn, is incapable of carrying the ball, then you need to be firm and remove them from your team. Sometimes it's a tough call, and you're like, this is a good person, I know their family, etc. But if they do nothing but fall all the time, despite how much you train them, despite how much you teach them, everything, if you've given them all the chances in the world and it's not working out, you're responsible for the team, remember. If that person stays on the team, it's your fault. It's not their problem that they keep failing. It's yours. You're the leader. And remember also to give credit to your team members. Make sure that you're giving them the amount of recognition that they need and deserve for the job that they're doing. They may be bending over backwards to help you succeed. And in all of that work that they're doing, you're taking credit for it. Oh yeah, I led this team. It's awesome. And give some individual credit as well as some team credit. Say, Bob did a great job on marketing. Steve did a great job on sales. Let people know that you're appreciating what they're doing. Let people know that are engineering and delivering the solution. Know that you're recognizing them. Help them to see that you're appreciating them. Give that credit to other team members. If you're a great leader, you're not taking credit for yourself. Everyone will know that you're the team leader. I've been in some sick organizations where not taking any credit yourself as a leader and lifting up everybody else on the team is misperceived by other executive managers and other leaders as a weakness on your part. As saying, okay, Art's not doing anything, is not effective leader, but he has other effective leaders on his team. Let's get rid of Art and put these other leaders up there. That really is a broken mindset because as a servant leader and as a leader in extreme ownership, you are empowering your team to become great leaders. You're building leaders. You shouldn't just be apparent that you're the one taking credit for everything. If you're giving credit to everybody on your team, it'll look like they're doing everything. And as long as your team's successful and you're managing it well, why would someone think that? But that's the perception that happens sometimes. As far as people being promoted into leadership positions and being stolen from your team because they're a great leader, that's an awesome thing. That's a compliment. If you are able to train a good leader, train a good leader. If you're able to empower somebody to be an amazing leader and manager, it's okay if they're somewhere else in the organization. And it's okay if they come to a point where they're above you and leading you one day. That's okay. Don't be jealous of that. That's just you doing an amazing job. So make sure you give credit to your team members. Next principle is really that there's no bad teams, only bad leaders. And I've seen this time and again. And the idea of extreme ownership from Jocko Willink and Leif Babin in their book Extreme Ownership, they talk about on SEAL team training. There's the boat drill that they do where they run down the beach carrying the boat and run and row the boat for a certain amount of time, and then they pick up the boat and drag it again. It's this excruciating drill, and they're timed, and they're doing it as a race. And the team that was losing was saying, well, it's because this winning team has all these great people. So all they did was switch the leaders, and the losing team became the winning team. So it's not always just the high performers on the team. It's usually the leadership. If your team is underperforming, it's almost always the leader's fault. It's not your individual contributor's fault. And if you, as a leader, have an underperforming team and you are unable to either cull the low performers or teach them how to perform better, then it's your fault for keeping this team. But so there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. You really need to set standards and enforce them and demonstrate them. Be a lead by example there. Show great performance. Groom your junior leaders, and then continuously assess people's performance and let them know, recognize that great performance and let people know that when they're not performing, that you're expecting something different. Believing in the mission is another crucial part from extreme ownership. It's showing people that they can accomplish this mission, this task you have for them, and it's really believing in it. And this is, obviously born out of a military mindset, but it translates perfectly. All of this does, but this translates perfectly to corporate environment. What's the mission? What's the vision of the company? What are the values? And down to your team, what are your OKRs and your KPIs? What are your mission? What statements and what are your values? What are the things that people need to believe in your organization? If people are able to believe in your mission, in the corporate mission, and are in sync with the vision and the values and understand the objectives, then they're going to understand where they're going and why they're doing it. And how do you make sure that they have really made that a part of them? You ask them, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this 365 migration this way? Why are you working tonight to get this done? Why? Because they should be able to align with your mission, your values, your objectives. Seeking that alignment will help create that culture. And lastly, check your ego. This is a huge one. Us as leaders, we've put in a lot of years, a lot of effort. We've built ourselves up, got educated. We have a lot to be proud of. And sometimes that gives us a big ego. We need to learn to be humble and admit to our mistakes. I make mistakes. I make 1,000 mistakes a day. I make tons of mistakes. It seems like almost every time I open my mouth, I'm saying something stupid. It's just who I am. I make mistakes. I need to be humble and admit it, and so do you. Regardless of where you are in your leadership journey, you've never reached perfection. You are always making mistakes. The thing that will make a good leader out of anyone is humility and being able to admit it. So when I make a mistake, I try to let people know. To say, I made a mistake here. I'm sorry. You were right. When the team faces a challenge, step up and engage yourself. A team is not going to bend over backwards for you if you're not chipping in. When you show up helping, then they understand that it's important. And never let your own personal success or anyone else on your team's personal success be more important to the team's success. And make sure that everybody understands this. Make sure that everybody understands that we win together. And don't get complacent because you've been successful so far. I've had this happen a lot where you have a team that's amazing and you have all-star, high performers on your team. And I mean, I'm in a situation very similar to that right now where some of my best guys are on a team that is, all my high performers are on a team that's actually low performing right now. And one of the reasons is they all got to a place where they're comfortable and they've kind of earned the right to be comfortable, that kind of thing. And I mean, this is common. Every organization experiences this. But those team members are creating a situation where it's actually a lower performing environment, a lower performing team. They're probably the best employees we've ever had, but that situation is making it worse for everyone. So breaking up the team and getting those guys back to work is probably the best thing to do. But that team is also a team we need. So what to do to inspire that team to act more like they did years ago? That's a hard place to be. When you're in a high performing team, one of the concepts is cover and move. And that's a military Navy SEAL concept that Jocko and Leif brought in with the book. But really, it's everybody should be covering each other. Everybody should be moving. You should have some coordination. The idea behind cover and move is somebody's covering while the others are moving. We can do the same in a corporate environment where we're creating cover, whether it's marketing, sales, whatever, for operations to get something done, etc., and then repeat. Then operations is being successful while sales and marketing step up their next iteration. That kind of thing. The idea is having a culture where everybody's helping and supporting each other. Another principle of high-performing teams is just being simple. It's important to be very simple. The more complexity you have, the more opportunities for failure you have. I know sometimes our solutions aren't simple. Sometimes we are in a complex situation. But key is to not be as complex as possible. Try to simplify things wherever you can. Every individual should know their role and what they're supposed to do, what they're responsible for. And everybody should have some standard operating procedures. Even if they're long, they should know what they're supposed to do. And everybody should be able to ask questions if they have a question about something. Make sure that you're able to prioritize and execute also. So in any company, we have thousands of things to work on. Every one of us has a product backlog of hundreds of items of things that we need to work on. Prioritize those and execute on them, especially when you're overwhelmed. Take a step back and identify what your priorities are. A lot of times I feel like I'm so busy, I can't get anything done. And everybody's coming to me with all kinds of stuff that doesn't even matter. It may matter to them, but it really doesn't matter to our mission. And so I need to sit here and prioritize and figure out, what do I actually need to do in this moment right now? Yes, it looks like I'm a failure because I'm not getting all these little nitty-gritty things done. But I have 100 tasks on my list, and I only have time for 5. So I have to pick the 5 most impactful things. Decentralized command is the next principle. It's really saying that everybody should be able to operate without a clear designated leader. Everybody should be able to operate on their own. Don't micromanage people. All your teams should have teams and team leaders and stuff like that. Your teams will self-organize. If you're following a principle like Scrum or anything, they're really self-organized teams. You should be able to lob a task in there and get it done. In my case, that's my problem a lot, is I'll lob the task in and then they fail because I haven't done enough around that task to train them, resource them, set expectations, etc. I just think they know what I know. So that gets down to planning. Planning is super important when you have a team. And when you're operating in a highly efficient organization, it seems like you're just always running at 100 miles an hour. It always seems like everything is too fast to plan sometimes. And it's important for us to take a second to be strategic and to make sure our tactics are lining up and make sure we have a plan. I know it seems like sometimes there's no time. And when I say efficient organization, I don't mean that you have a process for everything. To me, actually, a highly processed organization is usually not an efficient organization. It may be more effective, but to me, they're wasting time on process development. So, you can argue with me all day on that, but efficient means I'm able to get work tasks done and done quickly. And effective means that I'm doing it right. So that's I'm in an organization where we're trying to be a little bit of both. And I think most organizations are. But the tendency, at least at the starting of an organization, is just get it done, make money however you can, get it done, figure it out. We're running at 1,000 miles an hour. So in those organizations, it can be really hard to plan. It can be hard to take a second and breathe, come up with a plan, think about what the risks are, think about how to mitigate those risks. And then after the fact, figure out what went wrong or what went right. And next, lead up and down. Now, I've said this before in videos. Everyone can be a leader. How do you become a leader? Lead where you are. A lot of people ask me, when am I going to get a chance to lead? When am I going to get a chance to manage that team? When am I going to get a chance to show everybody that I'm a leader? Now's your chance. You lead from where you are. The title I throw at you is just a reflection of how you've been acting for the last year. If you don't act like a leader now, I'm not going to give you that title. I'm not going to hire someone into a leadership role that has not shown me that they're a leader. So practice these principles of extreme ownership and show me that you're a leader. Take responsibility. Lead whenever there's not a clear and present leader. Lead in everything you do. Show excellence. Be a high performer. Demonstrate for everybody else. Give other people credit. Lift up the rest of your team. If you're not able to show me leadership material, I'm not going to give you a leadership role. That's what I mean by lead all the time, wherever you are. That's what I mean when I say, if you want a leadership position, start leading now. I don't expect you to just jump into being the CEO of the company, but you can act like you're the CEO wherever you are. You can make strategic decisions and be extremely influential where you are to help raise the whole team up. And you've probably been in teams where you know that person. The person on this team that's the one dropping the fries is really more the leader than the manager on that shift. That guy who is, you know, your left guard on the football team may be the leader of that team, not the quarterback. Sometimes it's not about the title. Sometimes it's about what you're doing. But in a lot of organizations, and especially mine, you know, I'm not going to throw you into that position unless I've already seen that out of you. So you need to demonstrate that leadership prowess before I give you that title. All right. Thank you so much, and leave a comment. What do you think about extreme ownership? Obviously, there's a lot of different management principles in the world right now. There's a lot of, you know, the Harvard MBA is probably not talking about extreme ownership, but it's been something that's really improved how I lead. And yes, I trip and fall on this all the time. I make mistakes. Sometimes I blame people and then I catch myself immediately. I'm just like, oh, if that person's failing, it's my fault. Like, Joe might have screwed that up, but it's my fault for that. So let's, you know, reorient the situation and realize that, you know, it didn't happen because of me. The more you're able to show that extreme ownership, the more executives will respect you. The more you blame people, the worse you look. All right. Well, I hope everybody has gotten something out of this. Please like and comment, subscribe. I appreciate all of you. I know some of you have touched base with me on LinkedIn or whatever, or through comments. And I really appreciate the people that are engaged with me here. Thank you.